Oh man, it's certainly going to be an emotional one this time around. We're breaking down the Paul Mescal fronted coming of age drama Aftersun on this episode of That Song from That Movie. Wow, I really caught the sun today. I guess I need the
sun cream.
Why would you need sun cream
after?
Yeah, there you go. Thank you for joining the 99th episode of That Song from That Movie, the journey through the best and worst of movie songs. I am your, this movie doesn't really lend itself well to comedy intros, host Dietrich, and joining us, as always, is that weirdo who follows you around on holiday, Alex.
Yeah, that's me.
Alex, throwback, what was the name of that guy who used to be at your caravan park?
Jesus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because he always wore sandals, is that why?
Named because he wore sandals and had not even long hair, just like, he had short hair, but it was like, it was overgrown, probably needed a trim.
He was about 11 when I knew him.
Yeah.
R.I.P. Jesus.
R.I.P. Jesus.
And completing the lineup is our undisputed karaoke king, Ben.
Yeah, I've got like various bad memories of performing karaoke with just unfortunate stares from others, especially on my stag do.
What's your go-to, Ben?
It's JoJo, isn't it? It's got to be JoJo.
It is a classic. It is a classic choice.
I thought you'd like go for like more like a cinema reference, like Brass in Pocket from like Lost in Translation.
Yeah, it's very hard to do Brass in Pocket as a joke, though. You don't want to actually show how bad you are at singing by singing a semi-serious song. You need tongue-in-cheek.
I would like to know, in the past fortnight, what have you been watching?
Aftersun.
You can't use Aftersun though, that's cheating.
Yeah, plus I've not watched that. So.
Go on, Alex, you could give us a film. You must see a film.
Come on.
I haven't watched any like newly released films. I have seen in the last few weeks both versions of Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. Not Wonka. Actually, no, one of them is Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, isn't it? The original.
Yeah.
So I've seen that, the better version, in my opinion. Then also the Johnny Depp one.
You know, I don't think I've ever watched the Johnny Depp one all the way through. It gets like a weird bit where there's like some sort of dentist plot, and I think I dropped out there.
Yeah, his dad is a dentist. That was
Christopher Lee.
Not in the original story. Yeah, it's Christopher Lee. I can see why they did it, because the first film does end quite, and the actual book does end quite like abruptly. So I think they just wanted to kind of extend that story out and give it round it off. Both film versions are good, actually.
I like both versions.
Yeah.
I haven't seen Wonka.
No, I haven't either. But yeah, been watching that. I did watch a newish film. It's a children's film. It's called 9 Lives.
Oh yeah, it's
that advertised. Actually, it's got the voice of Mo Gilligan is the lead voice in it, which I thought was interesting. Not seeing him act.
Yeah, really. That's why I thought it was shit.
Yeah, no, but it's not bad actually. It's got Bill Nighy in it.
Yeah, but Alex, you're at that part of your life where you're not picking films because they're critically acclaimed. You're picking them because they have moving colours and shapes and they may attract the attention.
There's an animal.
It's got a talking cat. Yeah.
As long as those little ones are happy, I'm sure you're happy.
They enjoyed it. They did enjoy it.
There you go. Did they give it the Andy Lau? 7 out of 10?
They give it high praise than that. They actually watched it all the way through, which, believe me, that's high praise.
Is that the only like judgment that someone around the age of 4 could possibly give? Of did they watch it all the way through? If so, they enjoyed
Honestly,
it.
That is the highest praise you can give a children's film.
Really.
If they watched it all the way through, it must have been good.
Yeah, makes sense.
I watched a movie all the way through.
Go on, must be good then.
Go on.
Must be good. I went to the cinema and I saw the Spy Family movie, as in Spy Family Code White.
What?
Is this an anime?
It's an anime, yeah. So it's a spin-off movie from an anime.
Spy Family. God, I've gone behind on my anime.
It was really good. It's probably, I know other people have said this as well, so this is not a unique thought of my own, but it's probably the most accessible anime there is, and it's got a really good dub, so...
Most accessible anime there is?
Yeah, because it's literally just
really?
like...
More than Pokemon?
I think so, yeah, because that's more... Pokemon, although it has like a bit about friendship, it is mostly about fighting.
Dragon Ball Z?
Again, about fighting. Well, this is just a family comedy about a family who are pretending to be a family. You've got one that's a spy, one that's an assassin, one that's a mind reader, one that can see the future.
Why you got if you watch anime, you got to watch the classics, though, do you? You got to watch the.
I think most people would consider Spy Family a modern classic, and the movie's good too.
Well,
I recommend it. You don't need to have seen the TV show.
Until Alex's kids watch it all the way through, I'm not gonna judge it.
I think Alex's kids would love it.
I'll turn them onto it, see what they say.
Yeah, cool.
And they become weebs from then on out.
And then they'll watch it all the way through, and Alex will go, Tick, that one's staying on forever. I'm watching that one 30 times a day.
That's how it works.
Christmas presents are all based around Spy Family.
Yeah, well, there you go. I mean, we're also watching the Grinch film, and we're in like May now.
What about you, Ben?
I've definitely watched the longest film, I think, of anyone here.
But did you watch it all the way through?
Well, no, because it's not possible, I don't think. And it's whether you call it a film. I don't think it is, but it won the Oscar for the best documentary. Since the Juice died, we watched The Made in America.
Oh, I've seen it. I've actually seen it.
Yeah, it's 7.5 hours long. Yeah, I think it was always you that said it was one of the best documentaries, but I could never find it. And then, Now TV added it. God, it's incredible. Yeah, it's incredible. It's actually impressive at how emotive it can be. Like how much anger and rage it builds in you at different times as well about different things.
Yeah,
we actually caught a bit more of it, and I just remember that guy who has a voice like this. He's like one of like OJ's high school friends. Just got an incredible voice.
Oh my god! Every time he came on, Zoe wanted to he's got he must have had some sort of like throat surgery or something, but he talks like this. Also, just the people in that courtroom, some of them are absolutely hilarious.
Oh my god. They're absolute they're like movie stars, aren't they? Like Johnny Cochran. Oh my god,
Johnny
what
Cochran.
a performance!
Yeah. His ending monologue to the jury had nothing to do with OJ.
Nope, but had a lot to do with Hitler.
10 minutes of talking. Not one. Yeah. He did make a comparison to Hitler, didn't he? Yeah.
He did. Yeah.
It's hilarious. Anyway, that is not what we're on about today. But watch it while it's available because it is probably the best documentary.
Yeah, amazing documentary. Then.
Well, it's definitely one of the greatest documentaries ever.
Yeah, it's such a fascinating subject as well.
So before we get into today's episode, we thought it would be best to call out some of the themes, as it's certainly not a light-hearted movie. So this is a one that we'll most likely be mentioning themes of suicide, or at least implied suicide, as well as the general theme of loss of family. So if you don't wish to listen on, we completely get it, and thank you for listening. We hope to see you again on the next episode. Right, so let's get this show on the road. Things are going to get heavy today, as we're talking Aftersun, focusing mainly on its noteworthy use of Queen and David Bowie's hit Under Pressure. So to find out what was happening in the world when the movie came out.
Time for some history.
Aftersun is not an old film, so we're not going too far back. We're only going back to November 2022. And as the theme of what I've been doing in this segment over the past few iterations, I thought I'd look at some of the lesser-known films that were released in November 2022. What type of film usually comes out in November, guys?
Christmas film?
We start to build into the Christmas film, and this is a booming industry of the last few years because of films like The Christmas Prince, The Christmas Switch.
Yeah, I've seen that.
I know you've seen all these, Alex, which is why I'm very interested to know if you've seen some of these ones. And I want you to judge purely based on the title of these films, whether A, you'd watch it, and B, what you think it's probably going to get out of 10. Okay? So first we have, not the greatest pun, Planes, Trains and Christmas Trees.
I've not seen that.
No?
I'm going to give it a 10 out of 10.
Yeah, and as well, Plane, Trains and Automobiles is already a Christmas film, is it not?
Exactly, yeah, but then we've got Planes, Trains and Christmas Trees.
It doesn't sound very good. I haven't heard of it, which speaks volumes.
No. Well, how about this one? Because I think this one's fantastic. Merry Swissmas, about people who fall in love in a Swiss chalet.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Yeah. That sounds good.
You getting it? You getting it? How about Mistletoe Time Machine?
Love it.
Yes. Yeah, I think I remember seeing this one somewhere. I don't think I've watched it, but I remember seeing it.
Alex, you've got to get on it just for the images alone of this, what looks like a robotic mistletoe that takes people back through time. I bet they just go back to previous romantic relationships, but how amazing would it be if it took them back to like hundreds of years ago? They were going back to the war. They were going back to Egypt. Dinosaurs.
There was the Vanessa Hudgens one, which was like the reverse. It was called like The Night Before Christmas, where a knight from medieval
I would say Norwich,
I think. Yeah, came somehow was found themselves in like modern times USA.
Now, so we've got Merry Swissmas, we've got Planes, Trains and Christmas Trees, and we've got Mistletoe Time Machine. How about Reindeer Games, Homecoming? Now, if anyone's seen the actual Reindeer Games starring Ben Affleck, it's no Christmas film. It's actually a weird thriller action. I don't know if they're trying to make a callback to that, but it looks dodgy. Christmas has a monopoly on this time, but we should also generally look to other holiday season films. and I found one of the greatest puns in a film title I think I've seen in years. Okay?
Okay, hit us with it.
Menorah in the middle. It's It looks like it's a Malcolm in the Middle knockoff that also has a strong Jewish element. Menorah, this is not on Netflix. I don't know where it is. I spent quite a long time trying to find this film. Alex, I promise to get it to you by the end of Christmas.
Does it have a song?
Well, that's a good point. I think Merry Swissmas does.
Ooh.
Merry Swissmas.
Definitely look out for Merry Swissmas. As my mum would put it, these are films to watch while you're doing the ironing.
Yeah, they're Channel 5 afternoon films.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, just before Home and Away kicks off. So today, the movie we are discussing is Aftersun. So for those unaware, Aftersun is a British coming-of-age drama written and directed by Charlotte Wells in her filmmaking debut. So the story of this one is a heart-wrenching tale of a father-daughter relationship told through the lens of Sophie, a new mother looking back at home videos of a holiday she took 20 years ago with her dad Callum, as she attempts to reconcile the father she knew with the man she didn't. I mean, I think this film is absolutely incredible, and I'm very interested, especially you, D. I might come to you first as someone who's seen this very recently. I'm interested to know what your thoughts are.
I mean, I've been thinking about what to say about this movie, given that, I guess that's what we do here, and I keep wanting to say that, yeah, I enjoyed this movie, but enjoy is just, it feels like the wrong word. But if I say something like I appreciated the movie, it sounds too professional. So I'm still sort of wrangling with that. And as much as I enjoyed it, I think it falls into that category of movies we've talked about before, where the movie is engrossing, but I could never bring myself to choose to watch this again.
No.
This is a bit of a peek behind the curtain, but when Ben suggested we cover Aftersun, he caveated it to me with, make sure you have something lighthearted to watch afterwards. And at the point of him saying that, I had no idea what the film was really about. So I read the synopsis, like a woman reliving a holiday from her youth, but not everything was as pleasant as she remembered. Then applied what Ben said about the light-hearted comment, and I ended up in my head going, oh, so it's like a horror, psychological thriller-esque movie, where it turns out, like, I don't know, like the Babadook is there in the background or something.
Would have made a very different film.
So sitting down and actually experiencing this movie unfold in front of me, whilst expecting ghosts and ghouls, but ending up with an arguably even more haunting movie, was a bit of a surprise.
Can I ask you, Dee, just on that then, I guess maybe just off the cuff. The film does, and most of our discussions will centre around the ending of the film. What was that feeling, I guess, you left? Because that's the thing I guess that sticks with me with films like this, is how you are when you're leaving the cinema or you turn it off and you're at home. What was the feeling that you were left with?
Well, I mean, in the very first instance, it was just a feeling of, like, trying to process everything that had happened and sort of unpicking previous scenes. It was like I was sort of trying to unfurl, I don't know, like an onion or something, trying to get to the centre of it, looking back going, oh, that scene actually meant this. Or when he said X, he actually meant Y, sort of thing.
Yeah, okay.
So I'm kind of glad that we didn't record this episode, like, as soon as I'd watched it. Like, it's been a couple of weeks since I watched it. It's had time to stew in my brain. And it's just this sort of, and I appreciate Alex doesn't give his opinion yet, but I just thought it was like an amazing movie. I'm
glad, Dee. I'm always very on my edge of my seat when you're about to give your deliberation. That warms me.
Like the performances and the chemistry between Mescal and, I don't know what the young girl's called, but they're absolutely perfect. And you just instantly buy them as father and daughter. Yeah. It's just this sort of perfect, I've written here, perfect balance between almost cheerful, melancholic, and devastating. But I guess coming back to where I started this stream, I guess the question is, did I enjoy the movie? And the answer is, yeah. I think enjoy might actually be the right term, because it was almost like a mystery movie, as I said, like sort of unfurling, recontextualizing things around me. Just a well-crafted movie from start to finish.
Yeah, you've always been a big advocate of not watching trailers for a lot of especially the movies that you're really interested in. I think this is one of that, to me, was a benefit for that, because I knew nothing about this film either when I saw it. And I am appreciative of that. Before it comes on to me then, Alex, how did you find Aftersun?
Rough.
Rough is a fair reflection, I feel.
It's an experience, isn't it? I think Dee used the word devastating. I think that was the word I was thinking of. Just like, it's just heart-wrenchingly painful to watch the ending of this film. And I think as well, like, you're sort of watching it kind of unfold, and it's like it's equal parts happening really quickly and really slowly in your mind. And it's like, because it's just you just can't quite process everything that's happened and is currently happening and what will happen. I think you definitely left thinking about it a lot afterwards.
Yeah.
Just like in silence. Like, I just remember sitting, like, watching the credits roll just in complete silence for like until the end of the credits, essentially just trying to like piece together what I'd witnessed, really.
Exactly.
In that sense, and just like you just feel like very still. It's like almost when I'm watching a very tense football game and I refuse to move.
Yeah, that's a good way of putting it.
It's like that. I can't move right now because my mind is just is equal parts very still, but also equal parts whirring around like crazy.
Yes,
I just think it's like you two. I probably less like D. I went into it knowing the basic premise, but not knowing exactly what else. Like, I knew that the father and son went on holiday. And that it just unfolded from there. I didn't really know anything else of what would happen. But so that kind of added to the tension rather than the mystery. It was like, I just felt like something was coming, but I wasn't quite sure what it was. And you sort of, the editing of this film and the way it's pieced together is so intelligent and clever and thought out. And you just get like the way that they slowly reveal parts and build on the character of the dad. I think it's also that it was like almost reinventing the language of cinema, and it kind of feels a bit like that when you're watching. I know that's kind of a strong statement, but it's telling you a story in a way that you've not quite seen before, especially in a film. It feels almost like novelesque in some ways, in that there's like different perspectives, different viewpoints of the same instance, and also she's viewing it from as an adult and as a child, but through the lens of him filming things. There's all sorts of going on. It's recontextualizing everything and refocusing on things and seeing things differently. And you might come on to this, but I remember reading an interview with her after I'd watched it, and she said kind of the film came around because she saw a picture of her dad.
Yes, of her dad, yeah.
Yeah, and how young he looked and how kind of childlike he looked when he was on holiday. And obviously, when you are a child, you see your parents as old. But obviously, when you see them as an adult, you can see how young they are. And obviously, he was quite a bit younger here anyway. But that just kind of adds to the sense of him as a character not being, still being a child still. And there's those really nice touches. Obviously, I don't want to run too much of the film. There's nice touches like where he's like talking about her teacher and like making jokes about fancying her a bit, like in a childlike way, and the fact that he doesn't have a job, he's still kind of on the make a little bit as well, and like
it's the I forget how they call it, but it's they give you crumbs and allow you to make what you want out of it. So they give you just the odd ingredient, and they're like, and then we take those same ingredients, we all probably make something slightly different, and I think that's always the beauty of this film.
Yeah, like the one-sided conversation that he has with the mother of the child. You don't hear her side of it, you just hear him, and then it's just
then you start to build like, what is their relationship? And then there's the thing of potentially like when he's talking to the man on the boat, and they're like, oh, actually, is there a potential sort of that gay relationship? And actually he's coming to terms with that. Is the potential of, there's the thing of how he deals with his birthday and that moment where he's crying on the bed, and it's just so harrowing, and it juxtaposition of that throughout the film, and the broken aspects of it looks like when he walking into the water, and then the next scene he's absolutely fine. You're like, actually, is this all fragmented and all over the place? His clothes are swapping around at different points, and this is her trying to piece together the bits from the mini DV camera that she's got alongside her memories, and it's just not quite matching up. I didn't get it when I first saw it, and I've read and watched various analyses of the film, and some people talk about, I guess, why is she particularly looking back at this now, and why is that important? And you could just say, yes, it's a random, she can't sleep that night because she's there, she's got her partner, she's got her own child, and there's the potential of that obviously weighing on, of trying to figure out again her relationship with her dad. But some people have been saying actually she's now at the age her dad was then, and that, like you were saying, Alex, that like, oh my gosh, I'm there now, and then he had nothing else, and there's a big sort of sliding doors moment, I guess, there of like, I'm now about to live longer than my dad, and that's really that, and how it does that is just so beautiful. I think, I guess how you were saying it, dear, that can you enjoy this film? I think part of the enjoyment of films like this is being able to bring those feelings out of you. We digest so much media and so much film, and you can feel so much in this.
Yeah.
Like you said, their relationship between Paul Mescal and Frankie Corio is so good. I think they only had like 2 weeks. I think they spent 2 weeks. I don't know if it was at that hotel, but at a different sort of holiday resort to build chemistry. But God, it's good. And yeah, like they call it on the film, he is very young, and they make a reference to that, but it still feels like a father-daughter at times. Yes, there's those kind of jokey moments, but it's just so pure.
Yeah, because I think just on that, like, I think obviously going into it knowing that he's playing the dad, you're like, I'm not sure that's going to work. Like, you're thinking like the only other real thing I've seen him is Normal People, where he's playing high school. Someone in high school, which, and obviously subsequently like university and things, but it's like, but he was a child, like quite a young person, and all of a sudden he's now a dad. You think it's not going to work, but it just does really work. Yeah, it's just absolutely perfect. I think the two of them. I mean, she is fantastic in this film as well.
100%.
Like, I think she makes the film in a lot of ways, as good as his performance.
So natural.
Yeah. She's the heart of the movie.
Yeah,
because there are some, if you go through it, there are so many themes that are covered in this film from different areas. Is there anything in particular that resonated with you, or anything that you kind of do want to have this opportunity to talk about? There is obviously Frankie Corio's character of Sophie, her coming to terms with her adolescence, which we've not really touched on.
Yeah, I mean, the fact we haven't touched on that, and yet there's so much and so many different interpretations of this film just shows how like layered this film is.
Yes.
Similar to yourself, I read so many different interpretations of this film, and I couldn't say, well, no, it's not that. Like, when we did Saltburn, I read different people's opinions of it, and I was like, no, that's not right, that's not right.
That's a good comparison, yeah. I agree, I'm saying.
But with this is, like, well, implied suicide at the end, or implied abandonment, or implied coming to terms with sexuality, or with just one character, and yet you still have another character in Sophie who is sort of almost potentially having the same story going on in the background, but deferred 20 years, sort of thing.
Yes,
it's just such a beautifully layered film.
Yeah, I think the part that really resonated for me was the part that you've kind of already touched on, about her reflecting back on the situation at the age that he was, because it's this idea that you don't truly understand your parents until you are who they were, kind of. And just like reflecting back through the eyes of someone of that age, it just casts this incredibly different light on everything, and things that were throwaway all of a sudden bears such significance.
Yeah,
I think that's something that most people would be able to relate to, because you just cannot understand the life of an adult and the pressures, to come to the song until you've lived it. And that's kind of why I think she's looking back. I think it is because she's hitting that age, and she is a new parent, and all of a sudden she's appreciating what, she's got a partner, she's got a child, she's got a life, and it's that level of responsibility that comes,
and maybe never knowing him.
Yeah,
there's aspects, isn't there? There's that anger, isn't there? There's frustration, there's resentment, there's the joy, there's the adulation, there's the excitement.
Yeah, oh god, well, there's all of that in there.
In the space of maybe a minute.
Yeah.
I can't think of another example in at least across cinema off the top of my head that does that so well in such a quick time. Sophie's character looks at she's looking at adult life with the excitement, isn't it, that you do when you're like sort of that 11 to 14, and you want to get older, you want to be able to do all these things, the allure of like being 18 and all these doorways that open up, and she's looking, isn't she? She's like in that rush to just, I'm not a child. She's acting older than she is and trying to do more.
Yeah, she's trying to fit in with like older kids.
Yeah, with those older kids. Yeah,
and he in a way is there's that aspect in it. You're wishing he is younger and he has his younger life back without the responsibility that he's clearly trying to escape by more or less living in Turkey. It seems where they are.
Certainly living recklessly, at least. Yeah,
that bit when he just spends all that money on that rug.
Oh my god, how heartbreaking is that scene?
I know. Yeah, it is, isn't it?
There's so many of those scenes, like the implication that he was willing to go scuba diving without equipment because it didn't really matter. There's him walking in front of the bus
absolutely.
and stuff like that. Like it didn't matter that a giant coach was about to knock him over.
Yeah.
Absolutely, and we'll go on to talk a bit more in depth of two of the main scenes, I think, that are probably some of the most gut-wrenching in very different ways. But a few quick facts first. So Charlotte Wales has received adulation for her directing of this film. It is absolutely incredible. She said that she took a lot of inspiration from the poet Margaret Tate, also a filmmaker. Also, I think she was a doctor. There's direct homage to, in the film, I think Callum has a Margaret Tate book in between like two self-help books he hasn't that he's taken with him. Alex has alluded a bit to what Charlotte said in her inspiration for this, of seeing a picture of her dad when she was younger. But the themes of Margaret Tate's works is very much on the retrospective view of now absent parents and how they're experienced in the present, and how we bring fragments together to build a narrative of either we want or to potentially sometimes fit a narrative, but that's always shifting and changing. And I think that always is very key in this film. The film was an indie darling success. It premiered at Cannes, took the jury prize, which is a huge honour. This is a really small film. This is not like one of those sort of, I'm doing air quotes, of an indie film when it's got like a big actor or it's got a decent production company behind it. Until I think Mubi bought the rights, it wasn't believed to be doing anything. It got all the way to Paul Mescal. He received an Academy Award nomination. You know, he was never really pushing for winning that when it was between who was it, Austin Butler and Brendan Fraser that year. But the same, he got nominated for a BAFTA. He is quickly launching himself into being a household name, I think. Obviously, he's in Oliver Strangers, which he's received a lot of critical acclaim for. He's currently filming, or has just finished filming, Gladiators 2. I hope that's not as bad as it sounds.
It's a strange move, isn't it? But hey, we'll see.
Yeah, but there's something about him, there's an endearing quality, isn't there? Like a likability I do feel that he has.
Of course. He's one of the Tortured Poets department as well. He's in the WhatsApp group.
He's in the WhatsApp group.
It's a big talking point at the moment.
So yeah, there's a lot going for it. And Frankie Corio, again, she was absolutely incredible. I think she was picked out of I think they auditioned over 500 young girls. And I hope she goes on to do very well, because if she wants to be in acting, she definitely has a space.
This setting resonates a lot with me because I went on this holiday several times. Not exact emotions of this holiday, but I went to these places.
100%.
Mine's Alcudia. I feel like I've definitely been here in Porto Pollenza, in Mallorca many
Palma
times.
and the Spanish one.
Palma.
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah, Mallorca, Menorca, Salou, of course.
Yeah,
places.
Salou, yeah, of course.
I even stayed in a hotel where opposite there was another hotel being constructed, in this film. And I was like, I feel like I've been to this exact place, and it was filmed in Turkey.
Are they going across a nicer hotel to get access to stuff? Is that what is happening in the film?
Oh, I don't know. It's like a resort, isn't it?
They keep crossing the street, and I couldn't tell if they're going to a different place. It looks like they're staying in a pretty shitty place at one point.
Yeah, I think it's supposed to be a resort where it's like buildings that are separate from the main building, which are cheaper.
Yeah, probably. Yes, maybe that is it. So, gonna move on to the music, and the soundtrack for this film has a great collection of tunes. These are little sort of ditties that we probably heard on these sort of European holidays throughout our childhood. We've got loads of cheesy British classics. We've got Steps. We've got Aqua. We've got Chumbawamba.
Of course.
We've got Los Del Rio.
There was a long period when I was watching this film going, surely we're not doing the Macarena. What is the song in this film? It has to be the Macarena, obviously, until the end point.
There's so much. There's even even bits of for He's a Jolly Good Fellow that they sing for his birthday. I always say we're abroad, but we're still quintessentially British. We infect these places.
That's another scene that I can't even think about. But this is the thing, I was watching clips back earlier and I was like, I can't even watch the clips back.
For He's a Jolly Good Fellow, because of the crying bit afterwards?
Well, just because of his sort of stoic expression on top of the hill.
Yeah.
He's kind of just he's not it's like that facade drops, doesn't it? In that point, tiredness wins, and all of a sudden,
when you can see those notes on his floor when he's writing, he's trying to figure out how to write to her, and it's just I can't even contemplate that side of it. So we're obviously going to go on to talk about Under Pressure, which is the sort of the focal point for this film, but we also wanted to an honourable mention for a scene in which Losing My Religion by R.E.M. is used. It's a key scene in the film in which Sophie attempts to sign her and her dad Callum up for karaoke, but he gets a bit anxious or a bit sort of overly focused on himself in the moment, and he refuses. So she goes up and sings. It's got that distorted karaoke bass.
Yep.
The gain's way too high. And we watch as she sings kind of half-hearted, trying to keep her cool, while Callum looks like he just wants the world to open up around him.
Yeah.
Is there anything you want to say about this?
The sound design on this is so good because despite the fact that there's music and she's singing, you can feel the silence.
Perfect, isn't it?
Yeah, Jesus. It's unbearable almost. Yeah. It's so unbearable to watch.
and it's a really well-picked song because the lyrics and the music work great.
And as well as like it's you can imagine that normally it's because like it being a bit of like a dad rock anthem as well. You can see that he would have got her to do it in the past.
Yeah,
and it just makes sense, doesn't it? It feels like it's from reality, like she's pulled it from her own childhood, like directly, because it just feels so right.
And just the power shift, the power dynamic of that. You know, his daughter like, oh come on, let's do this, and he's just absolutely caved in on himself.
Yeah, because you see so often earlier in the film him being the one to kind of like cheer up, you know, we're on holiday. There's that scene where she kind of starts talking in a way that's hinting at like the feeling of coming down after a big day, I think it is. And he's like, yes. Oh no, you know, we're on holiday. And you can see like he's in the bathroom just like, yeah, this is my life. This is how I feel all the time. But like tries to put on a brave face, but then all of a sudden that flip where he's no
caught
longer
off guard, isn't he?
Yeah, he's no long. All of a sudden in the moment, no longer willing to put that brave face on, and yeah, it's God.
That's me in the spotlight. Losing My Religion is just how she sings it over and over again. Just works. You're just watching him, and she's kind of not trying to look at him because you can tell she kind of knows slightly what's going on, but either doesn't quite comprehend or is finding it embarrassing herself, and they both just are very, very happy to push past it as quick as possible.
Yeah, I think when you're watching it, you're like she's not going to go and sing, and then she does.
No, yeah, she does, and you're like, oh please, yeah.
But that's the beginning as well, isn't it, of that evening? And you think that evening is the one where it's like this is descending into somewhere I'm not like. It's making me really uncomfortable as that progresses and progresses and progresses.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, you start to like, oh god, is it going there?
Yeah, exactly, and it all, you know, spoiler, almost feels like it does, doesn't it? And then obviously it doesn't, but it's like, yeah, it just builds and builds and builds the tension.
But again, it's the show don't tell. We don't need to know. We still have exactly the same feeling, regardless of never being told.
Yeah, and you know the other thing is that she doesn't know either. Like, we see it in the film, but we don't know if what we're seeing is what happened. It depends, really, whose point of view we're seeing this.
We're never given it, are we? We're never told.
Yeah. All she knows from her point of view is that he wasn't there, and then he is there. Yeah. We don't know for definite what's been filled in by her imagination, by whether this is what really happened. You know, and that's, again, plays into the intrigue of the whole thing.
I almost feel like I've got to build myself up for talking about this scene. I've always been a person that is very guilty for rewatching movie scenes on YouTube. I've done it probably since I was about 17. And every time I watch this one, it makes me cry every single time. And it seems to make me do it earlier and earlier. Like, I know what's coming. And as much as I can't watch the film, there's something I just think so powerful about this scene, which we'll now come on to talk to, which is the song we want to focus on, which is Queen and David Bowie's 1981 classic Under Pressure, used in the climactic moment of Aftersun as the film comes towards its close. What we're shown is Sophie and Callum's holiday is making it towards what we assume is their final night. They excitedly arrive at a fairly low-key disco where the song is playing diegetically. Callum invites Sophie onto the dance floor where she and the moment begins to capitulate into this disorientating, emotional fever dream reflection of what may have been one of their final tender moments that in this modern day she's struggling to look back on. I'll go into talk a bit more about it, but what do you guys think about this scene and the use of the song?
Coming in, I knew that the song was featured in a pivotal scene of the film. I didn't know when or where it happened. I think it was a bit hesitant because it's such a massive song, especially in this country. I don't know about worldwide or not, but in this country, it's like everybody knows this song. It's such a huge number.
It's like a requirement of being British to have a soft spot for Queen.
Yeah, and especially this song because it's Queen and Bowie as well. Yeah. Like it's the dream team, and it's like you think this is quite a small indie film, and they've picked the biggest song possibly that they could really put into it almost. And I was a bit like, I'm not sure how they're going to pull the emotion out of the song that is such a part of the fabric.
A different kind of emotion.
Yeah. But my God, you watch it and you just almost like, I think we touched at the beginning, like you just can't move because of the power of this, not just the song, but the visual that accompanies it is just so visceral and strong, and just the entire tension. This is the thing, there's so much tension in the film, but you're not really sure for a lot of it what the tension is, but then there's a release here of like pure emotion, but all of the emotions, but you feel all of it. It's not like it's overwhelming because you get each bit of it. It's like there's at no point is it chaos. It's kind of like there's this controlled explosion of all of the emotions that she's feeling and has felt at the time, in the present, and from him as well. And it's just, I don't know. It's just, again, I don't know if it's too strong, but it's like one of the most powerful film scenes I think I've ever witnessed. And it's so short as well. It's not even the full song, is it? Like, it's... Nope. It's like probably like a third of the song, but it's just so incredibly put together, and you just sitting there afterwards, just not really knowing how to feel anymore for a period.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I think the best way to describe how this scene affected me is I don't think I can ever recall watching a movie scene or something in a television show where I could feel my face changing from a smile into almost like a blank expression. I could feel my like smile dropping because because it starts with like almost doing like silly dad dancing.
Yeah, yes, and he's very good at it.
He is good at it.
It feels almost like a triumphant moment, but it's so quickly taken away, and I could just sort of feel my cheeks like loosening and blood running cold, sort of thing, as you sort of realise, oh, this is not going to be a nice ending to this film. I know you could also see that the dad dancing is almost like performative, given the context, but I chose in the moment to take it at face value that they're having, because obviously she has nice memories of this that she's now questioning.
Yes.
So there must have been something good at the end of this whole day. And I thought, oh, it's because they have this wonderful send off. Not so much when you peel back the onion.
Yeah, see, I'd agree with you, Dee. I think it is genuine. I think this is a problem that, I don't know if it's a societal thing, and you get those kind of, and I think they're a bit sort of silly comments sometimes you get on YouTube where like, if you don't understand this, you're lucky because you've never been through that kind of thing. But what I do take from those is this, Paul Mescal's performance here is probably, I think this and I think of Casey Affleck in Manchester by Sea are probably the two greatest portrayals of depression that I've seen. Simply because depression is not like pervasive in order to be chronic.
Yeah.
It's not that your entire day is capitulated in sort of that low, stereotypical, hopeless, worthlessness, crying aspect. There are those that have that. But there's also, he is clearly just stuck. He feels so passionately for his daughter. He does, and I believe him when he says he does enjoy the dance.
Yeah.
It's a sheen over what's truly going on, and that's what it is throughout this. He's trying to distract himself. He's not wanting to be woe is me and have all the attention on his sadness. He's trying at every possible moment to get away from it. And I think that's what I find so powerful about him and this scene. And when it cuts to Callum and his daughter Sophia dancing, and it is joyous, and then it becomes this sort of rave scene that modern day Sophie sees her dad dancing, but it's like this tortured, it's this almost exhausted side of him. And there's that hug that she gives him we know when he finally gets through the cool sort of 12-year-old who's trying to be an adult of like, yeah, I don't want to dance. And then they embrace, and I think it's the David Bowie bit where he's just repeating over and over, and it's just so well timed, it's so well edited.
Definitely.
And then there's the bit where the music starts to strip back, where the editing comes in, and it starts really bringing attention to that line, can we give ourselves one more chance? And it's so, I've never thought of Under Pressure, the song, in that way. I just associate it with weddings, with parties, because it's so bombastic, jubilation or power. And maybe the meaning of the original song or the meaning of how it's effectively used here has never come out for me before, but I see it differently now, and I think that's so incredible that a film can do that. For a song this well known, this important in the zeitgeist of British culture.
Yeah. It's a metaphor, isn't it, for the one. In one he's living, and the other one he's fighting through like existence. It's like a living versus enduring life, and it's clearly there to represent the external and the internal conflict that he has. Because I agree with you too. I think that in the moment, in when he's dancing to the song, legitimately in the 90s, whenever it's actually set, that it's a moment of freedom that he doesn't have much of in the film, but it's one of the one times that he can kind of forget the difficulties that he has in his life. And I think as well the fact that he knows it's the last night, because I saw some people say somewhere that like, oh, he knows this is the last time he's going to see it, which I don't believe. I think
I don't believe.
No, I think he's relieved because it's coming to an end and he doesn't have to put up the front anymore for her. In some ways,
that's interesting. I think it's just that he is so. I just need to think of now, like he's just trying to enjoy it. He's just taking it anyway. I don't think he's thinking that much. I think the only time where you can in my head you can argue that he's thinking about is that when we can't see him, when he's holding the camcorder as she's saying goodbye, and it kind of lingers on that, and then we see him walk off.
I agree that it's like it's in an in the moment thing, but I think it's laced with the fact that there's a relief at least coming towards him that allows him to have that moment of escapism, I guess. Possibly. But I think you can tip it both ways.
He's just experiencing it. He's just so in the moment, loving it. Like we're just saying, he loves this song, and and there's that moment, and then it just when it jumps to the rave, it's like the thing she's stop enjoying yourself. You're about to do something in my head as someone as thinking that he has committed suicide. It's that she's shouting at him like, you're not really enjoying yourself. You're about to do something, like wake up. That kind of if only that you always get for regrets and sliding doors moments. That she's almost, I think, kind of part shouting it to herself of like, don't be fooled by it. Like, you notice, say something.
Yeah, or she's saying, stop the struggle. This is it.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point.
Be the younger version. Stop the suffering. And I think there's that side of it as well. And there's so much duality, and the multiple variants of that are happening in this film at the same time, and the conflict of emotions, and it's quite so powerful. Especially in this one scene, it feels like it just encapsulates everything that you've experienced just in one moment.
Top 5.
I haven't got a name for this game. I was doing the box office guessing as well.
We need a name for this segment.
Need a name, D. You're the name guy.
All I've got so far is Game Time, which isn't great.
Ben's box office. Box office Ben.
Ben's box.
Ben's box. There you go.
Okay. So what I'm going to do is we're going to go through different films that are related to what we've just seen. I'm going to tell you their box office and then ask you the film afterwards. Was their box office takings higher or lower? Okay? So first up, Aftersun, the film we just talked about. It only grossed a small $9.7 million worldwide. We've also just discussed Under Pressure, Queen and David Bowie. David Bowie, a legendary actor in his own right. I'm interested how you might go about this one. One of his greatest films, Labyrinth.
Had to be, yes. The Power of Voodoo.
Hoodoo?
You do.
Ah, remind me of the Babe.
What Babe?
Oh no.
Dance, magic dance. And like, my God, his codpiece in that film. Oh my gosh. Anyway, now do we think Labyrinth grossed higher or lower than Aftersun?
Okay.
D. Labyrinth, did it gross more or less than Aftersun?
I think it was higher.
Okay. Bold. Alex?
Yeah, I also thought higher.
Give me your reasoning.
Well, I considered it might be lower because of the time of when it came out. I was like, because obviously it was the 80s, early 80s, I think. So it's like maybe, and like, I don't know, it's a bit of a weird film, but it's got David Bowie in it. It's so short.
It's got David Bowie in it, yeah.
I did think it was a low amount, but just more than that figure.
Yes, that is a fair reflection, D, and you would be right. Labyrinth grossed $34 million US worldwide. Okay. Next, the star of Aftersun, Paul Mescal, has also been in other indie recently successful film, All of Us Strangers, that has recently just come out. Now I'm interested, do you think All of Us Strangers has grossed more or less than Labyrinth?
I think All of Us Strange will be lower than Labyrinth.
Okay. Right, D, what are you thinking? Higher or lower?
Lower.
Lower, okay.
Lower.
You both be right.
Yeah,
All of Us Strangers grossed $19.1 million US. It's tied at 2-2. Next up, now Paul Mescal, nominated for an Academy Award in 2022, lost out, unfortunately, to Brendan Fraser, who went on to win the Oscar that year, who's the star of the film The Whale. Do we think All of Us Strangers at 19 million grossed more or less than The Whale?
I'm going lower again. I don't think this had much of a run at the cinema.
Okay.
Oh.
Alex?
I was going to go higher, with it being Darren Aronofsky and having Brendan Fraser, and I just assumed it would be higher. But yeah, you might be right.
Where are you going, Alex?
I think The Whale would have grossed more than All of Us Strangers.
Alex is right.
Damn.
The Whale grossed 57 million. A decent turnout. I checked that. D, you would have been onto it, but because it won the Oscar, it was there was a bit of a re-release.
No, it would have been,
Yeah.
I think
to
because of the
capitalise
Oscar,
on it.
he does capitalise. Yeah, absolutely. So Alex 3-2. Alex, all you got to do is maintain this. Paul Mescal, also nominated for Best Actor at the BAFTAs that year, also lost out. This time not to Brendan Fraser, but to Austin Butler. What are we thinking with Elvis?
Come on.
Did Elvis gross more than The Whale?
Of course it did.
Alex, what are you saying? Yes?
Yes, obviously.
Okay. D?
Let's say lower. I need a win.
Well, you got one more after this, D.
Alright, okay. Well, my gut is higher. I should just go with what I think's
Okay.
correct rather than try to game the system. I think higher.
Yes, absolutely. You're both right. It's grossed way more, $288 million US. 4-3. Alex, you've only got to beat D on this one or equal him. Okay? So that means I'm coming to you first. Because, gaming the system. Paul Mescal, we've just heard, he is going to be starring in Gladiator 2 at the recent coming up probably next year. So now I'm very interested.
God, this will be
Alex,
interesting. Yes,
what grossed more, Elvis at $288 million US or Gladiator?
God, this is really hard,
The
actually.
movie or the TV show?
The movie.
I think this is actually genuinely hard, this one. So Elvis was 200 and something.
$288 million US. Do you think Gladiator was higher or lower?
Gladiator was a massive, massive film. But Gladiator, I think I said this on another one recently. I think Gladiator must be an 18, and that obviously does limit the amount of people who can see it at the cinema, whereas Elvis wasn't. I don't think. I think Elvis might have grossed more. I know that sounds crazy because it's Gladiator, but I think that Elvis might have grossed more.
Okay, so you're going Elvis grossed higher than Gladiator.
Yeah.
I'm going much higher.
Okay. How?
I feel like Gladiator was inescapable, like in, I don't know, was it 2003?
I think 2000 is
Yeah, but at the
earlier.
cinema though, D.
D, you're going higher. Alex lower. Alex, Gladiator was a 15,
Oh, was it? Oh, balls.
and because of that, Gladiator grossed $465 million
Christ, it
US.
wasn't even close.
Come on.
We are at a
Yeah.
tie. It's the tiebreaker time. We get to this point every week, which is great. Good thing I've got one. The other half of the Under Pressure, we've gone to David Bowie. We're going to Queen. Now, I couldn't think of many films starring Queen, but we've gone. And I'm very interested to see who gets closer. How much did Bohemian Rhapsody gross? It was a big film. It was a very big film. But I want you guys to both message me what you think Bohemian Rhapsody grossed.
I'm just a stab in the dark.
Alex with an absolute stab.
Alright, I've sent mine.
So, Alex, you came in first. Alex, you said 210 million.
Yep.
D has said 300 million, with a little caveat, banking on the old people. You were both very, 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 very far away because Bohemian Rhapsody grossed $910 million worldwide.
What?
Yeah, absolutely.
900?
Yeah, it grossed 260 million in the US alone.
Yeah, well, that's what I was going
Yeah.
Oh, right.
So, by logic, D wins, but I almost feel that's offensive.
So the Baz Luhrmann Elvis film grossed 240 million, but Bohemian Rhapsody grossed 900 million.
Rocket Man only grossed 195.
Did Elvis come out during COVID?
Elvis didn't. No, Elvis didn't. 900 million. You can't underestimate the power of Queen.
Yeah, they really did bust in those old people. I just under-anticipated how many old people they bust in.
All of the old people.
It's like Titanic.
D, you're up now. It's 2-1.
2-1.
Yeah, I am the champ again. And the new Ben Box champion.
Yep. You've been in my box, D, and come out victorious.
You need the Ben's box belt.
Yep.
The Triple B.
Triple B. Well, I quite liked it being Ben's box office because it's Ben's BO.
Nice, Will playing Ben's BO. Nice. Lovely stuff.
Okay, so that brings an end to another episode of That Song from That Movie. Let us know what you think of Aftersun on one of our many, many social media platforms. Alex, what is our social media handle?
TSF. TM Pod.
Thank you. So you can help the podcast in many ways, and one of those ways is by sharing this on a random subreddit. But Ben, what random subreddit should they pick this week?
Chumbawamba.
Okay, yeah.
Makes sense.
I love the followed. Makes sense.
So you can also help the podcast by sharing this with your friends, giving us a 5-star review, signing up to our Patreon, buying our merch. Just tell all your friends about it.
Keep listening to our old episodes. We're not time specific.
Yes, that's true. So all that's left now is do some goodbyes. So it's goodbye from myself, goodbye, and goodbye from Alex.
Diggity daddy.
And goodbye from Ben. So goodbye, everybody. Bye.
Any thoughts on that?
That was really bad timing.
Yeah.
Was that robot voice? Robot voice had the thoughts.